The topic of debate that we will be arguing is the Korean education system of public education and private institutes better prepare students for university and careers. Myself, Susanna, and Stephen will be fighting pro for this topic, and Miguel, Diana, and Adrienne will be fighting con on this subject. We'll start with Susanna.
Okay, South Korean high school students attend school 1,020 hours and 220 days a year. This is 118 more hours and 40 more days of classroom instruction compared to the U.S. average. South Korean high school students take up to 11 different subjects, and study up to 14 hours a day, 5 days a week. Although attending high school in South Korea is not mandatory, 97% of South Korean students complete high school. This is also the world's highest graduation rate. Also, many students attend hagwons for privatized learning done outside of regular school. This high amount of workload and study time allows students a chance to develop their study skills, work habits, and prepare for the college workload. Also, taking a larger variety of subjects allows students an opportunity to explore their career interests. Studying hard and getting good grades is not a bad thing. It has incentives like getting more scholarships, getting into better colleges. Getting good grades can also show what kind of person you are. It can show that you are responsible, hardworking, and have self-discipline. These are also the kinds of qualities that employers look for in their employees.
I'll be talking a little more about what she discussed in terms of the curriculum in Korean high schools. The Korean education system before higher education is so effective because their number one focus is towards higher education. Examples such as preparing so hard for the Suneung test. Whereas high school in America, we mainly focused it on being a social event. Higher education attendance in South Korea is in the 80% range, with the U.S. being in the 30% range. Korea provides private institutions like Hagwon to assist students with higher education achievement. Students can receive tutoring in various specified fields of study. Depending on the student's choice of study, they can attend extra classes that will give them an advantage when applying for colleges and being directed towards their major. The National Common Basic Curriculum of Korea is made up, like Susanna said, of 11 major subjects: Korean language, social studies, moral education, math, science, physical education, music, fine arts, practical arts, and foreign languages, where the U.S. only mandates 7 subjects. Also, a difference is starting from middle school, as early as middle school, Korea expands from these basic 11 subjects and expands to specialized subjects such as industry, commerce, fishery, and marine studies. This expansion of the curriculum provides a rainbow of fields to allow students to explore their talents and strong points. This better prepares them for their future career selection. Most students have decided their major in high school and can study accordingly for their Suneung exam.
So the Korean education system has created a very internationally competitive workforce, which has been the driving force behind the explosive economic growth that the country has experienced in the past several decades. This is necessarily the case because South Korea is a very naturally resource-poor country. For instance, of the mineral deposits that exist in the Korean Peninsula, 95% lie in North Korea, leaving only 5% in the south. And of South Korea's already minuscule land area, only 19% is arable or fit for farming. So, despite this, South Korea has become internationally competitive in many global industries like the automotive industry, shipbuilding, electronics, telecommunications, chemicals, steel, and entertainment. In 1960, Korea's GDP per capita was $79 per year. I don't think that's adjusted for inflation, but it still made it one of the poorest countries in the world, on par with many African countries. contrast to 2011's figure of over $31,000 per year, putting it shortly, just below the EU and Japan. Also, its economic indicators of the past several years in the wake of the international economic recession has remained high. Unemployment rates have been around 3% as opposed to the U.S.'s 9%. GDP growth rate has been around 3% as well, as opposed to America's sometimes negative growth rate in the year 2009. And not only has South Korea's economy grown very quickly in these years, it's grown remarkably evenly in terms of wealth distribution. South Korea was 20th ranked.
Very well then. Good morning. Myself will be presenting the argumentum ad contrario of the resolution presented previously. We believe that the Korean education system prepares students to be competent in many academic areas, but at the cost of creativity and potential. Education system has been deeply rooted in Korean history throughout most of its history. One example of this is the Gwagyo examinations. The Gwagyo is civil examinations which many Koreans took in order to take a job, working as, in the government. These exams were very, very difficult, and the pass rate for these exams was very, very low because most of these exams had subjects that weren't accessible to the common person. But even like the person who had access to these subjects didn't had a hard time passing the exams. And these examinations lasted up through the Joseon Dynasty, and even though many years the Korean education system has evolved, and even after the Japanese colonization rule and Korea's liberation, Korea was basically left in economic ruin, which made it into one of the poorest countries in the world. And the key for Korea to really become one of the countries that it is today was education. And this education basically emphasized on rote learning. Rote learning basically emphasizing memorization over analytical and open-minded thinking, such as critical thinking skills. And because of this, there's a high level of competition among students. But the thing is that they all have this very, very similar skills because they all learn the same thing. And another thing is that this type of education does not really help with globalization. Even though Korea is no longer the poor country once was, it should be able to compete with other countries by creating more innovation and technology.
Korean education has primarily focused on having students enter college, specifically prestigious colleges in Seoul that can guarantee many things, such as high social status, decent jobs, and financial stability. However, everything depends basically on one test, which is the summary. Depending on how well they do on the university entrance exam, it is how well they will do on the future. Having so much pressure on just one exam creates psychological problems to students, such as stress and depression. Many of them even commit suicide. Korea has the highest rate among nations in the OECD for the 8th year in a row, as in September 2012, more than 15,000 Koreans committed suicide, which is a 50% increase from the year 2006. In average, 40 people take their own lives each day, 5 times as many as their parents did. The government blames this on the country's high-pressure education system, as many of them are students. From the beginning of childhood, the importance of money and achievement are emphasized by their parents. So they feel that unless you're successful in school grades and have a good job, you're not successful, and the parents even behave as if they were very hard. High school is hell basically for them because they have to study from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. And after that, they have to go to the library or take private classes until midnight. They do this 7 days a week, and all they do is memorize facts. Can you imagine imagine living like that. They do not have any social life and don't enjoy their time in high school. And then the worst case scenario is when they don't get the results they want on their test, and that drives them to take their own lives.
Thank you, Diana. Last but not least, I interviewed a lot of my suite mates, my exchange, and my friends. So one of my suite mates, his name is Jongmin. He said, Korean high school students just study really hard, not helpful and not creative. There are lack of critical thinking. From my exchange, Shirley Lee, she said, high school students study really hard for 3 years. For having good score in the student test, they require the same studying to all students. She thinks it is a problem. My friend Grace, she said, parents in Korea give their kids too much pressure. It is crazy. I still remember I had to go to school from 6 a.m. and finish around 12 a.m. In my exchange, Jin, he said, all Korean education are cramming method of teaching. So he thinks Korea students have no creativity, and some Koreans have the same method of thinking. From Emily, she said, in my personal opinion, I hate the Korean high school system. It just ruins students' health. If I can go back to high school, then I won't study in Korea. It was the most gloomy time in my life. And for my friend Yongbin, she said, well, some subjects are necessary, but most subjects are not important. So I think Korean students can choose to study abroad for middle school or high school. And they can also build up independent skills, and they can also learn foreign language too. And they don't necessarily have to stay in Korea and go through all those pressures and lack of social skills.